Wow, another top 5 list for the MCU? I mean, come on, Avengers Endgame is almost here. We have to continue to keep the hype going. I'm just so hyped for this movie, and I want to continue to talk about this movie because we've had 10 years of these movies, and I want to look back on these, and that's why I'm doing these top 5 lists. So I hope you guys enjoyed them because there might be more coming down the line. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this top 5 list, which we are going to be talking about my top 5 favorite movies in the MCU. So, starting off the list, we are going to be hitting that number 5, and that is the first Avengers movie, The Avengers. So, this movie is fantastic. It really is. I think that I like this movie so much because I remember just how much excitement there was in the theater watching it opening night. And back then, you could watch movies during midnight and stuff. So I actually went to the midnight showing for Avengers, and I was just so excited to see this movie. And the level of hype in the theater was just unlike anything I've ever experienced in the theater since. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. Everyone that was there were just absolute nerds in every sense of the word, and it was fantastic. People were coming to the theater dressed up in different suits, like Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, and all of that stuff. And it was just so cool to see. It was such a fantastic time, and that really holds a special place in my heart because of that. But I have to say that the first Avengers movie really hasn't aged as well as it probably should have. So yeah, this is actually from Avengers Age of Ultron, not even the first one. So yeah, let's there we go. There's from the first movie. Anyway, I really do not like Captain America's Avengers costume. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think that this movie really has aged as well as it should have, but with that being said, it is still a really fun movie and a really well done movie. It really is, and I love the story in this movie, and the banter and the chemistry between all the characters is just fantastic. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to my number 4, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now this is probably a little bit of a controversial one because I know a lot of people aren't really big fans of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and they probably have good reasons for it, but I really do enjoy this movie a lot. I really like the story in it. I love Peter Quill and his father's relationship in the movie, and I think that is really well done. Plus, I like the fact that this movie really does focus a lot on the Avengers and their development as a team and as a family, I guess you could say, and I think that they do a really good job in this movie with that as well. I like that that's really the focus of this movie, and I think they do a good job with that. And you know, there's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it is still about the Guardians and what happens with them. So yeah, I really do like Peter Quill's relationship with his father in this movie, and we get to see more of Peter Quill's backstory throughout this movie, and I think that that is really well done as well. So this movie is really great. I do like this movie a lot, and you know, the death of you-know-who is still one of the saddest deaths I think I've ever seen in a movie. Really well done, and really hits me every time I see this movie. So very well done. So I really do like this movie a lot. So yeah, that is my number 4. Moving on to number 3, we have Captain America Winter Soldier. This movie is just incredible. Objectively speaking, this is the best movie in the MCU, I think. Everything about this movie is really just, I mean, you can't do it any better. You really can't. I love the whole Jason Bourne type of feel to this movie. I like the fact that that this movie really does feel like an action movie in every sense of the word. It really does not feel like a superhero movie at all, and I love it for that. This movie really is the movie that I think 100% sold me on the MCU moving forward. I honestly have no complaints about this movie at all. I love the relationship between these different characters. I love that they gave Black Widow more of a character in this movie as well, and I really like the fact that that we get to see some of the relationship begin to develop between Bucky Barnes and Steve Rogers as well. The action in this movie is some of the best, I think, as well. everything about this movie is just fantastic. I love this movie. So yeah, that is Captain America Winter Soldier. Moving on to number 2, we have Captain America Civil War. So great movie. I love this movie so much because I think, and I know a lot of people do have a problem with this, I think that it still does a really good job with focusing on Captain America in this movie, despite the fact that there's all these other characters in it. I think they do a really good job with continuing to develop Captain America as a character, and we get to see his arc develop even more throughout this movie, and that is honestly, I mean, that's what a movie about a character is all about, and they continue to do a good job with that in this movie. I think that for what they were accomplishing with this movie, I think they did a really good job with the balance between having all these characters and still making it feel like a Captain America movie. Because at the end of the day, there is still so much about this movie that has to do with Captain America, and we get to see his struggle and how he reacts to everything that's happening with the Accords and all of that stuff. And I think it's just fantastically done. Plus, we get an introduction of Spider-Man and Black Panther in this movie, which is also really cool to see. Plus, the best thing about this movie is the relationship between Tony Stark and Captain America, and how their disagreements and all of that are what really drive a wedge between them. And we get to see how the relationship changes because of that. The ending of this movie is just beautiful. How Captain America could have killed Tony Stark there at the end, and he didn't. And Black Panther could have killed Zemo at the end, and he didn't as well. And I thought that was a really cool ending for the movie. So yeah, I love this movie. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to my number 1 movie in the MCU. And you've probably guessed it at this point, it is indeed Avengers Infinity War. So this movie is seriously, it's so good. This movie is so good. No one else could have pulled off this movie like the Russo brothers did. Everything about this movie is fantastic, and I love the fact, and I think this is just a genius decision of them, to make this movie about Thanos. This movie is a Thanos movie. This movie is Thanos is the main character in a lot of ways in this movie, and I think that was the best decision that they could make, because it shows us Thanos' story and his drive to get the Infinity Stones and fulfill what he has been wanting to fulfill. And I love the fact that we still get to see a lot of our heroes in this movie as well. We get to see continual development of these characters, and there's so much nuance to this movie that I don't think very many people appreciate. The fact that everything that happens in this movie has a purpose and has a goal to drive the main story and the character development of these characters, and I think it does it beautifully. I think we continue to see relationships develop in this movie, even if it is in nuanced ways, and that is what makes this movie so incredible. I mean, if you rewatch it, just watch for the nuance, rewatch it, and just keep an eye on how they continue to develop character relationships without even saying anything, without even dialogue or anything. It's the nuance of this movie that I appreciate so much, and I think they do a terrific job with this. Everything about this movie is just incredible, and I love this movie so much. And I can't wait for Avengers Endgame and to see where that movie falls on this list. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this top 5 list of my top 5 favorite films in the MCU. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite movies in the MCU are. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you all very soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.